Sharks fans, how's it going? This is definitely an unexpected and an unfortunate Wednesday for the team, for everybody around it. I'll go through what we know and also what we don't yet know, at least what's not public or also what's not even certain to anyone right now. But it all started this morning, a Wednesday practice canceled last minute. And in this age of professional sports, the NHL, just life in general, you know that to be a not good sign. Turns out a couple hours later, the Sharks and the NHL did reveal that there was one player affected. And I do want to be very clear in the terminology here. One player affected by being put on the COVID protocol list. There's about 5 different ways you can be put on the COVID protocol list. One of those is obviously testing positive. There's 4 other ways to be put on that list and designated for that. So we'll talk about that in just a second. It was also announced that tomorrow's game against Las Vegas is going to be postponed. And so now that is 37 NHL games this season postponed due to COVID. And we should also be clear that 27 of the NHL's 31 teams have had at least one player put on this COVID protocol list. So it's more common than anybody would hope for, but it has been common. The NHL has been having to reschedule a lot of games because of this. But let's get back to the square one here. The player is Tomas Hertl. That was announced by the NHL probably about an hour and a half ago. They daily come out with a list of players that are put on, said list, but they're not exactly clear on why the player was put there. Now, let me run through the couple different scenarios here of how you could be put on the NHL's COVID protocol list. Number one is that you come back with a positive or unconfirmed result, right? That could be the case here. It could also not be the case here. Number 2, you're an individual with symptoms, so you haven't tested positive or negative one way or the other, but you have any type of symptoms that are similar to COVID-19. The third way is if you are a person that has a close contact with somebody else who is a high risk, has been a high risk. The fourth one would be is if you are isolating based on a positive test, even from somebody else, and you're not necessarily testing positive, but again, you were a close contact and you're now isolating. That's the fourth way. And then the fifth way, and we've actually seen this for several players, especially crossing borders and crossing continents, would be that you are isolating because of travel quarantine. So 5 different ways that you can be put on the NHL's COVID protocol list. But before I go any further, I just want to say my ultimate sympathies to Tomas Hertl, his wife, and of course what I'm also thinking about right now is their infant child. Son was born back in late October, and certainly all of this is a huge consideration right now. This to me is so much more than when will the next Sharks game be played? And that is a huge question of mine. How long will they be inactive? Again, fair and valid question. But for me right now, it's a multitude of things. How's Tomas? How's his family? And also everybody else connected and associated with the Sharks right now. All the other players on the team, all their families, all their children, that's among the things that we do not know right now. Right? So we've talked about some things we do know. Who it is, what happened today, how it all went down, what's the COVID protocol list. But things we don't know include what comes next, when's that going to happen, and a determining factor of all that is how much has this spread. Now, personal observation, because I saw this happen with the Oakland A's this past season, one player tested positive about mid-season. And the team had to quarantine for about 3 to 4 days in their hotel rooms in Houston. It was like a hard lockdown. Food delivered to you, don't leave the room, don't associate with anybody else, that's it. Now, San Jose is at least at home while this is happening. If there is a good side about any of this, and it's hard to see, they're home while this is happening. So they're not stuck somewhere. But it is a huge question right now, how far and how wide, if at all, did this spread? Or, let's go back to square one here. Or We don't even know that there is something to be spreading. Okay, so that's not information I'm withholding from you. I don't know, and I'm not sure that under lock and key anybody is going to absolutely know that anytime soon. What is the exact status of Tomas Hertl? I just want to say that when it's been put out there that he has tested positive, that part has not been announced. That part has not been confirmed. It's definitely been assumed, and it might be correct. But as of right now, that's not what's being said here. And I also want to say this too, the Sharks as a franchise, they've been very cautious about, every possible precaution, testing everybody that goes into the rink for games. And you even see our announcers on television, Randy Hahn and Brett Hedican, they wear masks the entire time inside, even though there's plexi, even though they're separated. The team has done such a good job because of a lot of the restrictions that Santa Clara County put into place, and they've followed suit with everything and even more that they were supposed to do. So the team really in rescheduling this game and the league deciding to just say, hey, tomorrow night, let's not do it. Also, the Barracuda had a game for tomorrow. They're not playing either. So you talk about an abundance of caution. This is an example of an abundance of caution. You also want to look at some other numbers here for the Sharks. Again, how wide has this spread? We don't know. We're playing the waiting game right now. That's a huge determining factor in how this is going to play out, is how much more information will we find out tomorrow. But I just want to spell this out here because I mentioned almost every team has dealt with the COVID protocol list so far. The Sharks having this now later in the season, there's 73 days until May 8th. And May 8th is that last day of the regular season, so there are 39 games to be played in 73 days. That's already a lot. Now, what if San Jose, for whatever reason, and it's not to suggest right now, it's not to make you think that any more games beyond tomorrow are going to get postponed or moved because of this. Right? It's not to suggest that. I'm just saying, let's show you what other teams have dealt with if, in fact, it goes this direction. Because I know people are curious. Here's teams just in the West. Las Vegas, they got shut down, did not play a game for 9 days. Minnesota had a whopping 13 days without a game recently. And Colorado was only out 6 days when they went through the COVID protocol list. So it goes to show you that there are varying times and there's no set timetable of what's going to happen next. Again, a large part of this is up in the air for everyone right now. When more rounds of testing and everybody gets a check here, and we'll see exactly what the state of the health state of the Sharks is right now. But the facilities are closed. The NHL says that the schedule is going to be reevaluated. Certainly, some things are going to have to move. Some things are going to have to change. But the number one thing right now, it's not the scheduling of games. It's hoping that all of this has been contained. And I hope I made clear. I think I did, but I just want to circle back to this one last time as I wrap up this video. It's going to be a short one. I'm 10 minutes or so here. I'm not necessarily going to get into maybe questions and back and forth. We'll see what the next couple days bring, and how long this season is paused. And we could get into a whole conversation of what does this mean for the team, and how are they supposed to operate being completely shut down without access to a rink and skating. A lot of other teams have done it. We can have those conversations when the time is right. But I'd be sympathetic to anybody going through this right now, but especially Tomas. And I mentioned his family before, his wife, their infant child, but especially because it's somebody that we have all gotten to know over, almost a decade now. Hertl's been, is it 8 years? He's been in 7 or 8 years. He's been in the NHL. And I feel like of all the Sharks, we know him quite well. We know he's always smiling. I just, if he is going through something right now, I hate to think that it's a person as kind, as genuine and fun-loving as Tomas Hertl. Like I said, I feel this way for anybody. but you feel especially connected to it when it's someone you think you know. And in a lot of cases, a lot of people do know him better than the rest. So just to recap, we don't know what this means for the near future because a lot of that's going to get sorted out tomorrow. And I really would have to think that in the next couple days, but basically here we are at Wednesday, really by Friday, I think we're going to have a better grasp on the situation, the scope of this, the scope and the depth of this. Certainly when I heard that practice was canceled out of the blue last minute this morning, it's an automatic red flag. And again, there is a best case scenario here. There really is. I mentioned the reasons, and the team can't specify why he's on the COVID protocol list. But there are 5 different reasons. One of them is testing positive. There's 4 others. And I'd say it's not traveling. It's not quarantine travel. It's not necessarily being isolated, but there are 2 other ones. And that's a close contact or just feeling symptomatic and you don't have the test results back yet. And you're not sure. Maybe it's something else. So, yeah, we'll understand this a lot better in the days to come. But as for right now, just wanted to come on here, tell you what we do know, but also make it really important to understand the things that we don't yet know and hope for the best for people first. And obviously hope the best for the team in a lot of regards, right? So it's a difficult season here in 2021. And these are reasons why I give everybody going through it and pushing through it and grinding through it so much credit. All right, that does it for this live stream. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in and checking this out. And like I said, I'll be back here on YouTube in the days to come with either game conversations like the post-game streams or keep updating you on what we do know about the situation. All right? Take care, everybody. Have a good day.